When looking for your favorite tools and supplies for your next flooring job, we have the absolute best place to shop online. Head on over to shagtools.com, the pro's choice for everything from cutters, adhesives, knee pads, shower systems, and more. Shag Tools carries all the premium brands you know and trust. In stock with fast shipping to either you or your job site. And right now, our new customers are going to receive 10% off their initial purchase using the code HUDDLE10. That's right, HUDDLE10 at shagtools.com.
What is up, team? Welcome back to the Huddle, the #1 podcast in flooring. We're here every week to help you guys gain forward progress in your flooring career. Simply put, we are here to help you guys win. To all our new viewers, welcome to the team. With me today, as most weeks, is Mr. Jose Gonzalez. And I think that Daniel will be joining us a little bit later. He's getting a few things set up, so he'll jump in when he can. Want to thank all of our sponsors. We do not have any specific ones this week, but you can see them all there on the screen. As always, Trade Tap and the VTI. The VTI is live. You'll be getting a lot of emails and well, not a lot, but a lot of emails will be going out. You'll get one or two each to make sure you get your profile set up and take advantage of that. Outside that, today's topic is building a business without losing your family. This is a topic that, frankly, is needs to be talked about because it actually happens. Like, people put there's so much demand on business owners that sometimes you can lose sight of, family and what really matters to you. And I don't know many people that are like that's happened to, but the ones that I do know, I can tell you that none of them would redo it. Like, none of them say, yeah, if I had to do it over again, I would do it the same way. Most of them wish they would have balanced things out a little bit more. This brings up a concept, Jose, of, do you remember, I think it was a convention, and we've mentioned this guy quite a few times here on the podcast about always balancing as opposed to being balanced. Yeah. Like, you're always balancing things out.
Intentionally off balance. I keep forgetting the gentleman's name, but that always stands out. But yeah, and I think that there is a balance when it comes to family and business, and
Well, his point was that you never really strike the balance. Something you're always balancing. Yep. Was his point, and I find that true now. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that is like how it is to be a business owner and to be a busy professional in any regard. Is like, you're always balancing. You're not. I never feel like I have it figured out where I have optimal time with the family and ample time at the businesses and these things. Like, I always feel like one's outweighing the other, and I've got to rebalance it, and then I got to rebalance, like, and my emotions kind of keep me in check. If I'm on vacation for too long, I start to feel like, get this anxiety and this guilty, like, if I'm bad about this stuff. So the reason
so are we, like,
one of the reasons we're talking about this,
and it's we're pretty bad at it too, and not because we don't try to find balance, right? It's just when we're away from work, it's like, oh man, I'm losing time. I was supposed to do this. I got these people waiting, right? So that's always the back of mind. And then when you're at work, you get lost in it, right? You get lost because you're always doing your best to keep everyone happy, and the majority of the time, your family is the one who isn't totally happy with you. But as far as the balance thing, yeah, it's never even Steven, never even keel. And I think even now I'm still trying to learn and adjust to, I have to shut work off when I'm with my family, I have to do that, right? Go hang out, have a good time for a little bit. There's still going to be those windows where, hey guys, I'm going to plug in at like 7:00, take care of a couple emails. I'll be right back for dinner, like something quick like that. Is that balance? For me it is. Is it equal balance? No way.
Yeah, the thing is that like it's balancing for you. Like that's what I mean, I don't know, that whole conversation that and presentation that guy did was to me spot on, because and it hit me pretty hard. Like I've always been trying to get them balanced and I've never been able to do so. And he's like, most people never do, because you're constantly opportunities come, or kids stuff comes, or things you're constantly trying to get it back in balance, and you might find a little balance for a while, but then something happens, or like when we had our ransomware attack, I mean, I was like, there was no balance. I was just work. There was zero. I think that some tactical real life kind of advice that I've received and that I think is good is, first off, if you're going to be starting a business, is truly understand what that means and talk to your family about it. Like involve your family in your business in the way of at least communicating with them. If not, I mean, both of my kids are in the business and in one of my businesses, and my wife is in my flooring company, and so there's I have I have them always involved in the business, but at the very least you want to communicate with them, talk about these things, talk about, hey, when work calls, how are we going to handle that, and like have those open communication. I think that is really beneficial. In the early days of building my company, me and my wife would have discussions, and it was a lot of like this, what you could imagine. It was like, hey, you're not home much, what's going on? And I'm like raising the kids on my own, and you're here for special events, and then you're working all the time. And so you got to have those conversations, preferably before you start the business, so you kind of have a roadmap. I didn't do that, but it struck me as something really important if you're starting a company and starting a business, is have that talk with the family.
We didn't know what to expect when we started, right? Because I always did my best I don't say did my best. I always worked a lot anyway, right? Like I would do my primary job, and then I would always be on the hunt for what they call, side work, right? Side work. So I think staying busy and being that type of busy person was normal already. But then when you start working for yourself and you start a business and you don't know what to expect, and all of a sudden you're wearing all the hats. Now you don't have balance within your own business because you're learning, but then your family becomes a very big part of that as well, because you have to communicate like, oh, we have this today. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I didn't put it in my calendar. Oh, I really got to get this bid due. Otherwise I might not have work for this 2-week window, in a month. And, there's a lot of variables in there that are hard to foresee when you're just getting started. And, luckily for Daniel and I, we do have a very supporting family from day one.
Like, and you have each other.
Yes. And for them to know where we started and what we came from, they understand. Like they know, and they already knew that it was going to be all in. And so much so that even like you said, our kids, your kids are part of one of your companies. my kids bring me dinner here sometimes when I'm working late, and they come and we'll hang out and we'll have dinner and clean up. And my son comes here, gets dropped off and says, "What do you need me to do?" I mean, it's part of everyday life now, but that's that family balance. And that's just in my house, in my home, right? Family, friends
and
outside
let
of
alone extended family, right?
Yeah,
and all that.
That's the crazy part. I think, don't get me wrong. We've had our fair share of in-home problems because of work, right? Because of the lack of presence, even though there's communication, lack of presence and, being distant, but like extended family. I don't want to say you lose them, right? But it depends on what angle you want to talk. Are you giving them opportunities, trying to give them opportunities, or do they see you as an opportunity, right? Like,
those are all those are other podcasts, friend.
yeah.
Those might be full podcasts on their own. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like, extended family, it's an event for me to see anybody outside my immediate wife and children. And then if you're a cousin or something, it's an event. It's someone's, dare I say, passing, or somebody's big birthday, like even that stuff. I I find it's just hard to get to. And this whole the whole thing, I think it boils down to, is communication. Like you said, you have kids, your kids bringing you dinner, you'll have a deal there. Like, they're involved in your process of being a business owner. And that's where I think a lot of, I think a lot of it is a misunderstood conception of what being a business owner is. Like, oh, I'm going to be, the guy. And so I don't have to be there as much. And, people are going to do the work for me or something of that nature. Well, it's just not true. It just doesn't. There's very few businesses, until you get to a big level where you have multiple layers of leadership. And even then, the owner is really then struck with continued growth and strategic initiatives and the vision, overall culture, and a lot of other things that become a full-time gig when you get big enough that you're not doing the day-to-day project management, maybe, but then now you're big enough that these other things are full-time jobs, taking care of the company from a strategic and a vision standpoint, and putting in new systems and processes and procedures, and buying businesses, or expanding your business or expanding your services. All that stuff comes onto your plate then. So until you're mega big, and I don't know many flooring companies who are mega big, where you then have a a vice president of a strategic growth or something. That's like oil companies,
Yeah, I think that's more like a corporation format or something like that, where I don't want to say it can run itself, but they've put together the correct teams, and those teams are in place to make sure that everything runs. But even then, there's business
a CEO
owners
there.
Yeah, those business owners don't only own that one, they own many. And that's their job, is overseeing, like you said, all of them. And I can just imagine how stressful that might be.
Well, that was the other point that the guy made, is you always think that at some destination in your journey that you're going to find balance. Like, once I reach 10 million a year, I'll be able to do. No, that's not that. I can tell you, I did that. I've broken all those, or our company has been blessed enough in the flooring side to break all those, like, percentages. Like, only 1% of companies ever reach, or only 10% of companies ever reach $1 million in a year and stay for 5 years. and then it's another small percentage that ever reach 5 million and 10 million. And we've been through those, and I'm telling you that, like, you're constantly balancing. You constantly have more things that you don't know. It's like driving down the road in the country in an area you've never been. You have no idea what's ahead.
Right. And
You're just doing exactly what you need to do while you're on the road in your purview of what you see to do your very best. And I'll tell you one thing I did do, just to throw this out there. When my oldest son was growing up and in sports, I did make sure with him that I went to every single wrestling match.
bam.
From the time he was 9 till the time he graduated high school, I did not miss one single match. And that was like my kind of dedication to making sure that he knew I was there for him. At the time, it wasn't like he was kind of like, well, whatever. Um, like I don't know if it was fully appreciated, but now as a 28-year-old, he tends to appreciate it.
Looks like Daniel's
So
having some technical difficulties, but
he'll get in
so
here when he can. I was gonna
so
let me go ahead, Jose, and then I'm gonna
okay,
bring up one of these comments.
Romero's, yeah. So to add to what you just said, right? Like everyone here, everyone who joins the podcast has seen it firsthand that I've like, hey guys, I'm only gonna be here for a minute, but I gotta go, right? That's me finding balance and attending my son's events or my children's events. That's where, work, career, something else is going to be sacrificed for, momentarily for that overlap in time. And it just happens, the schedule just happened to be on Tuesdays during the podcast. I did my best, and it was only a couple weeks where I had to miss, but I still tried to say hi and attend for a minute. But my son needed my attention, right? He needed me to be there and be supportive, even if it was behind the backstop going, what the God, swing the bat, dumb stuff like that. But I was still there, and I think that right there is me trying to find balance and trying to be there all the time as much as I can. Fortunately, I've missed a couple of things because 3 kids in sports. So I'm going to miss something at some point, but I do my best to be there. But they understand, and if I know I'm going to miss, it's like, hey, I want you to 100% effort today, please. Like, I'm going to see the video. I want to see what you got. Never give up. Always put forth effort. And
yeah, and you can do that with your spouse or your significant other or whatever as well. Like my wife works for the flooring company, but she works a lot less hours. She's almost comes in early. She comes in at 7 and usually leaves around 3. Every Tuesday she goes picks up the grandkids. She always picks up the kids and gets them to their events after school. So she can be, and I'm saying this in preface to Romero's comment. Is it Jose or is it Romero? Is that his first or last name? Do you know?
That's his first name.
All right. Well, we're gonna go.
3 names on there.
He makes a really good point. He says, I've tried to separate business from family, but it has been impossible. We have managed to make it a business family lifestyle. And I think a lot of people starting off, that is, if you can have that conversation, well, it is Jose, so he just clarified. But if you can have that conversation with your family and that is a workable deal, that is beautiful. Because then I was on vacation a few weeks back, and a couple, they have a masonry company and they work it together. And when they're gone, they just don't do anything. And then they go back and they're only gone for, say 4 or 5 days or whatever. And then they get back and they don't schedule jobs. It's almost like they just shut the company down for that time frame. And they built their business around their lifestyle. And pretty if you can schedule that way, awesome. But he goes on to say here, my wife is a teacher, but after having our first kid, she stayed home and recently has been administrative for my company. I
Oh
think that's
yeah.
pretty cool, right? Like that's where you can spend time together and still do business. And that's a good. I think there's a lot of people in that kind of mindset, I guess, and uh, have and obviously he's making it work. Hey, there's Daniel. Look at him.
I don't know if my signal is good enough for this.
Well, we
It
can
keeps
hear you.
on disconnecting.
Well, don't move. Just right there. You're perfect because you sound good and you look good. Handsome as always.
Look, this comment from this dude named Daniel says,
I'm at my son's baseball game and their Wi-Fi boy.
well, yeah, that one. I was talking about this one right here. Tanya said, she will never work with me.
She'd
She'd rather
So
rather
that's
stay
Daniel's,
married.
yeah, that's Daniel's comment. And you know what? Some of it's very hard, right? Like I asked for help and when, look, I'll be straight up. I didn't do nothing about Excel and I really leaned on the house to teach me and to show me a little bit. My learning style is a little bit different and everybody gets mad at me. But without that help and that assistance, when I've been able to gain that little bit of knowledge I have just to be a little bit better and understand some of the other concepts and the other programs out there. Like, I know you said you're like an Excel guru over there, Paul, but dude, I knew
He is, I've seen
nothing.
I love Excel. Let me say that. I don't know if I'd put myself in the guru status, but surely I think it's a highly effective program to learn.
Oh, while you're there, Daniel, measure that.
Measure that off.
I already measured it in the
Yeah,
precision
so
measure.
when
All right.
we're talking about building business and then it says without losing your family, like I had said early on, communication is one of those foundational things. I think Jose kind of pointed that out in his. I mean, that takes those types of um, um, deals that he has his wife. Obviously, they communicated about that. So communication to me is a key. But just to throw another one out there, and you tell me if you agree. But sometimes the I guess it's still based in communication, but having clear understanding of what it's going to take financially is another part of the communication because the financial side, what you gain as a business owner, you also risk so much more than an employee. Like it's your house and your
Oh
home and
yeah.
your savings and your like you're putting a lot of stuff at risk, particularly in the commercial flooring industry. But you know, the bottom line is you take on all the risk, and that I think is one thing that most people don't really discuss with their families is the amount that you're risking in these endeavors that you're taking.
It is, that is a hard conversation to have, especially when you're starting, right? When 100% of your investment is risk, because there's nothing, you don't have a backlog, you don't have any type of client base to back your theory that you're going to find work and consistent work at that. So the starting was rough. I remember just like looking and saying, "Hey, do you trust me?"
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Yeah, Doyle kind of touched on this as well, and he's talking about working together with his spouse gives him the advantage of picking up kids and doing all the personal stuff without a boss or having to deal with the boss. But it's the last part that he says we knew each other's responsibility and role, and we pretty much backed each other up. And I think you know that's a good little lesson for all of us all the way across from business to even at home. Like I know if the lawn needs mowed, that's on me. You know, if if something heavy needs lifted or the garage needs cleaning out or those types of deals, those are on me. We just kind of like knowing where you can support each other, and you know, giving your spouse the ability to, or your significant other, the ability to attend things with your children, that's a great benefit to them. You know, going to doctor's appointments and stuff. That's the kind of stuff you hear about people, you know, late in life saying they missed. They wish they wouldn't have missed these things, these little events. It's just like taking my kid to the doctor or going with them to get their braces put on or any of this kind of thing. At least one of the parents are there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that has been, we haven't missed anything like that. We do our best for, if it's something really major, we do our best to both be there, right? And that's kind of
So
the
how
give and
do you do
take.
that? How do you do that, Jose? Because that's really what we want to give to the audience is how do you do that when you have pressures from both sides?
First off, communicating with the team at work and letting everybody know that I have something coming up, right? It might not be significant to them or important to them, but if it's very important to me, I will say something. I'll say, hey, I have to take this time off. I'm going to be gone from this time. And it's not always in a perfect world, but communicating weeks before, because appointments, right? You make appointments way ahead of time, right? You have time to schedule that and schedule your day around that. So communication with the team here at work and also communication at home. A calendar, a shared family calendar, even my kids have it on their phone. So that way we all get the alerts when something changes, where the appointments are. That's important to me. And also feeling what's important to your kid, right? If it's something in their life that they're scared, they're fearful of, I want to be there to show support as a father, right? I never got that from my father, so I want to try to do that for my kids. Maybe it might fill a void that I had growing up or didn't know I had until I was an adult to kind of prevent potential issues. But the communication thing is really what it is, and understanding what's important to you so you can plan ahead, right? But some things might not have been important to me, and I'll be honest, but it was important to my children or my child or my wife. And if the trade-off was you're going to leave me alone for 2 months if I make this appointment, right? Or if I make this event and I don't and you're going to still have my back for 2 months when I'm going to be, 15 hours a day at work. Yep. I'm going to make that. That's a trade-off. That's a good trade-off for me. I do my best to still do that. Even if I have to leave my desk, and then go and then come back, I will still do that.
Yeah, that communication again is super important. Adding to that is prioritization. Like, remember how you're going to feel, So prioritizing these things and making an active decision. This is another nugget that was given to me is like, if you decide that I need to work, then that is one thing. Working because you, out of habit, or because you know what I mean, like almost automatically you just work because that's what you do, kind of thing. That's me. And that's where it gets like, sometimes my wife's like, you don't have to be working this many hours right now, and I'm like, it's a habit. And so keeping in mind, and this is from somebody who fails at this often, keeping in mind prioritization of your family. But what that brings up is like one of our company's core values. In fact, our first core value is minutes matter. And we have this minutes matter, and then we have it all throughout our office in different places, hashtag 1440. what it's saying is you have 1,440 minutes. Now, obviously, we know you're in a given day, and we all wake up. We have the same amount of time, the most valuable asset anyone has. We all have the same amount in our account. How we spend those is what it says about us and what it says about our approach to life, as well as what's important to us. So spend wisely, but in our company, the minutes matter is like, hey, if you're chitty chatting around the office for 2 hours a day and then wonder why you're having to work extra hours to stay caught up, invest your time wisely. Make sure that when you're at work, you're highly productive. If you're building a business, you're highly productive. Distractions are the killer of that. Stay off of YouTube. I can tell you from personal experience. Stay off of any socials. Like, be engaged in your work and get the most out of the time that you're at work, so that you can also take advantage of the rest of those minutes that you have at home, and you can be fully invested.
Yeah.
None of us perfect at this. Well, I won't lump you guys into that. Some of you may be perfect at this. I am not perfect at this. I am not very good at it, to be frank. If my wife is watching this, she'd be like, "You tell the truth, Paul Stewart." So that's me being honest.
He just made her sound like an old teacher.
She's not. But the truth is that I'm not the absolute best at that, but it is what we use to keep us in check. So
yeah, we have a lot of
take that for
distractions
what you will.
nowadays.
Yeah, distractions will kill your productivity, and then before you know it, you're working till 8 o'clock at night to get something done that if you would have used those hours at work efficiently and correctly, then you're good. I'll tell you another concept that came from Andy Frisella. He's the CEO of First Form, which is a big, massive supplement company out of St. Louis. I was part of his business group for several years, and one of the things is like having he said, I think he called it I can't remember, the power list. That's what he called it. And it's like 5 things, the most important things you need to get done that day. And if you put some thought behind that and you get those things done, he leaves. It could be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It could be 7 o'clock in the evening, but it's driven by those things. So when he gets done, he's out. It could be 10 o'clock in the morning. If he gets the 5 most important things of that day done, he's out, because he knows that same rule applies when he's there till 10 o'clock at night. And I thought, I've never been able to execute on that. I learned that a couple of years ago. I always tend to, like, if I get caught up with my, if I do what we call a D6, your daily 6. So make a list of the most important 6 items. And if I knock those out, I'm just going to work longer and be like, oh, I can knock out 3 more. But you never get ahead that way. And it logically, as I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I know that his way is better, and I would love to make the change. And you can apply that in to the flooring installation world, because flooring installers, one of the benefits, one of the key reasons why so many are subs is because they get that kind of freedom. I'm going to get these 7 rooms done and then I'm gone. If it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or if it's 11 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm done with what I got to get done.
Some of them.
Some of them. Point being is you have that freedom, and I think that's what's so attractive about being a subcontractor versus hourly employee. If they get done at noon, one of our schedulers are going to put them on another job for the rest of the day. I guarantee it. Right. So you don't get done early. You got,
it is, you're filling that time, right? Like we have instilled in our brain that we have, 8-hour days to dedicate to our work, our craft. And sometimes my days, my what you call it, the something 5 or my daily 6, like
Yeah.
I do
The
make
power
those lists,
list is what
the
he
power
is.
list. So I do make those lists, but sometimes my fault and my issue is that sometimes those items on that list, I forget that that one item I want to try to get done entails about 30 different things that have to get it complete, right? And that's where I fall apart, is trying to get those 30 things done, right? So I gotta start trying to be more realistic with my daily list. And
You're putting the top line like buy another business. Well, it's like 6,000 things you got to do for that to happen.
right, yeah. So I gotta be better at that, but I am getting better, and I'm still gonna falter, still gonna mess up.
How to break that down, because I do the same thing. You'll put something down. Well, really, that represents 5 or 6 hours worth of other to-dos for that to be
Yeah,
accomplished, and it's really 5 different ones. Break it down into it's part of it's important because it's part of the bigger thing. And I like with my example of, buying another business, for example, is like, you know, research or reviewing, business sell agreements or something like that. Like reviewing that is a big deal. That would be an item, not actually getting
getting
it.
it done.
You know what I mean? So you can break it down into smaller chunks that are still as important. But yeah, I like the way he thinks about it, Andy, a lot better than the way I think about it. I'll tell you that.
Let's get back to some of these comments here. What Jose's talking on here is it, I believe having family involved in business is a great addition, but up to a certain point in your company. But up to a certain point, yeah, yes. Like I wouldn't be able to work side by side, and I don't think I'd be able to do that every day. But I know that I can trust my family with my finances. I can trust them with certain things that I have a hard time trusting others. And that's where Daniel and I like Daniel was a little kid that, I was the big brother who couldn't save money. I'd spend my money. Oh, I got to go do this. I got to go do that. And Daniel's like, these are my 5 piggy banks. And this piggy bank, I have this. And this one, I have this. And it's like, hey, dude, can I borrow your blue piggy bank for till next week? It's like, but there's a lot of more things on my list than just saving too, right? But yeah, you're right. Up to a certain point. But I guess it depends on your significant
Well,
other.
and it kind of depends on like what you're thinking about in that, right? Um, so my wife works in the business, and of course, like I said, she doesn't work, late or anything like that. She gets off pretty early, comes in earlier. But we are, our roles are different. So it's not like we're right next to each other talking all day, every day. She'd probably quit if that was, she'd probably just leave. But she has her role and what she's good at and does that. And we communicate obviously throughout the day, but it's not a we're not doing the same exact thing, so we're not wearing each other out. We still get home and are happy to see each other when I get home. So the other one thing about working with your spouse, since that's come up so much in this, that I would say is also being able to shut things off at home. Her and I have really kind of pretty strict rules around that. Like, let's just not talk about it. Sometimes it'll come up, and I'm like, hey, we gotta squash this and discuss it tomorrow, so that we are at our computers where we can do anything about it, but B, that we don't ruin or um, contaminate our family time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can,
It's easy to do if you work with your spouse.
the wrong conversation at the wrong time can really make for an uncomfortable dinner, a very quiet dinner.
Yeah. So your brother said that, not too many people know how to separate business from personal relationships. So rather, personal relationships get strained, and it can make things not go well. So, he commented on essentially what I was just saying. His comment I should have shared is exactly that. Is like knowing how to, and it's not a mystery. Just don't talk about business to the most degree that you can when you're at home, and vice versa. When we're here at the office, we are here working. You know, um, it's not a lot of personal stuff going on at the office. We're here to get our
Right.
job done. So, and then he goes on to say it's technically not really the immediate family; it's the extended family where historically has had problems with. I wonder what he means by that. Maybe you can expand, but extended family
Well,
is where I have had problems with extended family, mainly
yep.
brothers and sisters, or cousins or something like that, is people wanting to get jobs without having qualifications. They just want a job because I own the company and they know I could give them a job if I wanted to.
Right.
Or wanting money because they think I have all the money and they can just ask for money and that I give it.
That's
Those types of
where I
things
was going earlier too. Yeah, that's
those
that.
types of things are challenging, but I've been personally pretty good at just saying no, sorry. If you're qualified to
Um,
work for me, I will interview you and hire you. Um, and uh, from a money standpoint, I've always just been like, I don't do that because if you, especially the borrowing thing, I always say, look, I can give you some money, but I will not loan you money. That is my rule with my family. If
yeah,
I can afford to give it away, then I will give you money, but I will not loan you money. I do not want to be chasing somebody to get paid back. Um, it to me, it's just not worth it. So if I have the funds that I can be totally not have to have back, I will just give it to you because borrowing money is not a thing in my family.
yeah. There's very few people in my family that I would even do that, and the majority of the time, I don't necessarily want the money back. I just would like some help sometimes, right? Like I'm always there helping when I can. If someone needs help doing a renovation, doing a wall, fixing their floors, fixing a deck, I'm available. I'm there helping. I never ask for anything, and the power, the ability to say no probably didn't come until I had children. And I'll be honest. I had a hard time saying no because I always felt bad. But once I had kids, it's like, no. Why not? What do you mean why not? What do you mean why not? I have a family, dude. I'm going to tell you no every single time. You
Yeah.
need help with something? I'll come and help. Don't ask me for money because I know I'm not going to get it back. And now you're taking away from my kids. Nope. Answer's no. And then as soon as the word no started coming out like so easily, the phone stops ringing so much, right? Nobody needs favors anymore. Nobody needs
Yeah.
help anymore.
Jose's just like, nope.
Nope.
Well, I'll tell you what. I applied the same thing with helping. Is like, you don't owe me nothing. I'm just going to give you this effort and time. The Where I found the most problem early on, in particular in my career, is people owing me things because I did something for them. And when it's family, it's like, dude, all you do is like, you alienate family because
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. My brother owed me money, and you chasing him down. What did he naturally do? He restricted himself to where he wasn't answering my calls. He always thought I was calling to collect. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, then you're just driving a wedge in between you, and sometimes I wasn't even calling to collect. Right? You know what I mean? So I'm just of the opinion that just give your time and your money freely and as you can, and then especially with family, and then leave it at that. Never loan money.
There's only
That's
only one thing.
that's one of the things about losing your family. We tend to have this conversation with our as an immediate family, but this is also extended family, and that's one of the tidbits I would tell you is either give or don't. But loaning money is a really slippery slope, and loaning your time as well. Like, hey, I'll come help you move if you help me move in December, and then they're nowhere to be found in December, and now you have, you know, you're ticked off at them and they're avoiding you, and it's like that's how I dealt with it anyway.
You know what I tell people now? Yeah, sure, I'll come help. What are you cooking? Right? What are you cooking? I'm gonna bring my son. But if like even recently, now I owe you this. I'm like, hey, you don't owe me anything. All I ask is that if you see my son or my daughters need something and you're around, right? Buy them a Gatorade. Get them something to eat. If you see that, you know, if I'm not around or if they're with you, just don't hesitate to thank me by providing for them. They don't need to know where it comes from. They just need to know it's a nice gesture, you know. And same thing with the softball community and my nephews and cousins and all that. It's just like one day my son's going to get a little bit older, and even some of my friends, he might want to play softball. All I ask is you just give him an opportunity. That's it. Like,
or help him get to the softball or to the game, or I mean,
whatever. Just
helping out, like a common. And some families are better at that than others, and like having this unwritten kind of rule with each other. And kudos to the ones who are good at that. Unfortunately, mine is like, you got to specifically lay it out if you're. So I just threw my hands up with it, right? Daniel says, that's right there, Mr. Stewart. Or they keep the job just because we are a family without producing what they're supposed to. Those types of things. I can tell you, I've had a brother and my mom work for me in the past, and this is going to sound harsh to the audience, but I fired both of them. Like, I did fire my own mother, and I fired my brother. And those are like, I try not to, nepotism is hard because you want to help your family. Kids are natural. Like, my son works for the flooring company, runs our Kansas City office. A lot of that was communicated and planned for many years. But when you start getting like your mom or your sister or your brother working for you, it's just incredible. I don't know if it's because you have a heightened awareness and you want them to succeed, so you expect a lot of them. And so that's why there's kind of contention, or if they actually act that way at every company. We've
done the same, brother. We fired our sister, not Crystal, obviously, right? Our other sister, and some nephews, some cousins. We've parted ways, and it's not. Look,
the good thing is it did not ruin my family. It did not ruin those dynamics, because I did communicate like, this is not a forever job if you don't treat it that way. So I just
same thing.
You probably did the same.
It's don't think because you're family you can get away with the things, right? Like, we have a structure we have to follow, and and unfortunately, I'll just use my sister. Unfortunately for her, she thought that the structure wasn't applied to her because she was our sister. It's like, no, even more so to you. Right. And the same thing with my son, like, and we got to I go back to sports. Coaching my son, guess what? You have to be the example, dude. You have to, help me unload, help me load. You have to be the kid that is easy to coach because they're going to follow your lead, right? Mm-hmm. If my son pushes back on me,
the example.
Yeah, and my son pushes back on me, then they're going to think they can push back. And it's the same thing with family that works with you. Well, your sister can do this, or your brother can do this, or your cousin can, and we can't. You got to be consistent. You got to be the same.
That's a tough one.
It is. And, my mother's in and out of the office helping us out now too. And she had some medical issues for a while, right? Had to go through the kidney transplant, and Daniel was very involved because it was from his wife, right? Mm-hmm. But she was in here a couple weeks after surgery trying like, Mom, just go rest. But then, she shows up like any Hispanic mother with a bag of food. I brought the olives. Come on in. Come on in.
Well, Ben brings up a point here. He said that he used to run a tile company, and he said the very most difficult issue I've dealt with at Capital Tile, which was the tile company, was managing family relationships. So this is something you got to be proactive with and know on your radar, especially if you're a new entrepreneur and you're going to get out there and dip your toes in the entrepreneur world of business ownership. This is not, just two guys on a podcast having the problem or have experienced a problem. This is a thing with business in general. Ben goes on to say that the bigger the company gets, the more structure there has to be. Some policies for everyone, but sometimes the family definitely feels it's harder for them than others. And I think that's because like for my son, I have you got to reach an expectation, like there's people that, and it's not me necessarily, but if you're going to be a leader, people are going to be watching and following. So you have to set that as a good, a good example. That's what I was trying to think of.
Daniel's comment to Ben right here.
It's in the handbook. Yeah. Well, having policies and procedures is, that is incredibly important as you build a business. And we've had other podcasts on that where like documenting your processes early. I think if I reckon back then, both of us feel like we could have done better at that and not had to go through it later. So if you're early on, documenting your processes that work for you, even if they're not optimal, but document them as you go will help others be able to fall in line. You can always improve on them. But your brother also says you
evolve.
You can't. Yeah, they'll evolve. Don't wait for them to be perfect and not be not evolve, because they're always going to. As you grow into different levels of business, those procedures and processes and policies and systems all will change as you grow. It's like a company is a living organism almost, right? It's just made up of a bunch of other people. And so as things change and as you grow, it's going to change in different policies, different ways of doing things will have to be introduced. So don't try to get it perfect before you document it. But your brother says you can't help family if you're constantly hurting yourself. I love that. Right? He goes on to say, sometimes if it's not working, you got to do what you got to do to keep the business running. When family understands that it's all good, when they don't is where issues come into play. So he's saying if your family understands those dynamics, and again, I would say having that conversation and communication like you did with your sister or like I did with my mom and brother is like, happy to hire you if you check the boxes and you can be a good employee, but don't think for a second that I won't let you go just because you are a family member. You can't get away with stuff that other people don't get away with just because you're family.
It's a hard conversation to have, but you do have to kind of set those expectations up front. And, when people feel blindsided, family or not, is when the disagreements start. And when disagreements start is when the distance starts. And, Daniel's right. Like what he just said there goes a lot of ways. That goes for time. That goes for finances. That goes for, family events that are important, to a lot of the family members, but maybe they're not that they're less important to us or like for me, but I don't attend everything that I used to when I was younger. I used to be at everybody's birthday party, no matter what age, everybody's little event. I used to, go to 4 different Easters, right? Like, you know what I mean? And now it's like, I just don't. First off, I don't have the time. Second off, it's, now I have children. It's about them and what can I do for my children first. And third is my social fuel tank gets depleted a lot sometimes, right? And it's because of how much I stack on my plate outside of family, right? If it bothers me and it worries me, I'm going to have to like spend a minute to try to appease my brain and relax myself a little bit. And that's where sometimes just deleting emails, like that's huge for me. Like just deleting emails and having the inbox go from, 1,100 emails down to 300 that are important. And then from those 300 down to 50 that I need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think that we keep coming back as often when you're talking about a subject, you come back to a core thesis. And I think the core thesis that keeps coming up is communicating. When your family knows what's expected, one thing that for family that you may hire, for example, is that you make it clear to them that our relationship is changing. Now, during business hours, I am not your brother. I am your boss. You are my employee. And that is our relationship during business hours. And the other doesn't come into it. And having those types of agreements, and it seems pretty harsh, but the truth is you will suffer a bit, if not actual, mentally, if you don't have clear boundaries and clear borders around your family, agreements with your family and hiring and firing and all that stuff. Just make it super clear so that if it has to happen, you can pull them aside like any employee. Hey, it's not working out. I got to let you go. I appreciate your time that you've invested in this company and working here. But it's time that we both move on, and that you find some place that you can be more effective at, or whatever the problem, right? I made all that up, but
this is pretty accurate.
That's the point, right? And that's where I think the communication is key. Clear communication, clear boundaries. Like, you're also not a doormat as the owner where your family can just walk all over you in your own business. It's pretty, I don't know what other word to use, ballsy.
Yeah.
On their part to think that they can get away with that. They wouldn't do that at, Quick Trip or Chick-fil-A or something,
right.
Like,
it goes both ways too, right? Like if you're employed by a family member and you value your relationship a lot more than the job, so to speak, then you can say, hey, like, I can feel that the dynamics of our relationship isn't going in a direction that I would like it to be long term. I think it's best if I step away in order to preserve that, right? Like that's okay too, and it has happened. And and that some of my friends are like, hey, how about I just come and work for you? I'm like, hey, you probably not a good idea, brother. I'm like, why? Because I really like you as my friend, and I really want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
You want to help me for a week? Come and help me for a week, right? But after that week's over, like, bye. Like, go back to I want to stay friends.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Like I said, the relationship will definitely change. It's going to change. You might as well be upfront and be clear. Ben, the final comment here I'll read before we close things down, as he says, I think the clearer the expectations are in the beginning, the more likely things will work out over time. I think that again, communication, like, now if I hire family member, they are like 100% bound by the employee handbook, just like anybody. It's not some special thing. You sign the employee handbook, you read through all the stuff, you read the expectations, you sign that, you initial next to each one of our core values that you agree and that they represent you personally as well. Like, all of that, the same thing we would do with an employee would happen regardless of whether they're family. So clear expectations.
Yep.
And just like that, 1 hour is over.
I know.
We've literally been on just over an hour. So I want to thank everybody for the comments and participation. We think that this is a little bit less of a flooring talk and more of we do, kind of like, staying mentally strong and mental health issues. We have 2 or 3 of those a year. This kind of falls in that realm of
It
like
does.
how to run your business effectively, but from a soft skills, kind of family or balance, all that stuff. And so that's what this is hopefully kind of point out some things where we failed, and we're really transparent about that. And as Daniel says, thank you for coming to our TED Talk. But the other thing is, we know that these are struggles as business owners. Not everything's about what tile you use or the best cutter or the best sheet vinyl or training. This is about putting family in its proper position at the first in your life, or first or second, with God, family, and work, right? Something in there, those things have to be there, whether it's spirituality or whatever. You got to nourish your soul, nourish your family, and nourish your wealth. You've got to build those things, and having some balance in there is just hopefully you've gotten to listen to us two yahoos on a podcast talking about how we've dealt with the family dynamics of running a business.
You're never going to get great at it because there's always going to be something new popping up, but you can practice it by staying consistent with everybody.
Always improve.
Always.
So thank you, everybody. Thanks to our sponsors and everyone who gets on here every week and participates and watch these podcasts. You're why we do it. We are very thankful on all of the platforms that you engage with. So show us some love and give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love for that to go up. And a lot of our content is consumed on Facebook and LinkedIn and all these different Spotify and Apple podcasts in many different areas. Specifically, if you catch us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, like it, give us a comment, and give us, give the old algorithm a reason to serve up the huddle to you next week. So we appreciate you guys. Wish you the best week. And until then, we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, everyone.